Sometimes the person who seems like the most consistent one in your life is actually the one who shows up the least when it really, truly matters. Today, we're going to talk about that person, the one who texts you every single day, right up until the one day you actually need them. And that's the gut punch, isn't it? That's the moment it all clicks. All that time, all that energy, and you suddenly realize you weren't just loving someone who was a little distant. No, you were loving someone who was never really there to begin with. Just an illusion. And this is the disconnect we're diving into. On one side, you've got the promise, right? The daily good morning texts, the constant attention that feels so much like real care. But then, on the other side, there's the reality. The second a real crisis hits, all you get is silence. And you're left realizing that what felt like a support system was actually completely hollow. So let's break down how this illusion even gets built in the first place, because it is incredibly powerful, and it's constructed on this foundation of digital consistency that can feel almost exactly like love. It all starts so simply, doesn't it? That good morning text, every single day, just like clockwork. Then it starts to grow. You're sharing inside jokes, you're talking about your dreams, maybe even making some vague future plans. And that routine, well, it becomes a real comfort. It feels like you're being cared for. And before you even know what's happening, you're not just used to that consistency, you actually depend on it. And this leads us to the most important question of all. Is that verbal consistency the same thing as real-life presence? Yeah, we feel the comfort of that daily message. But does a 5-second text really carry the same weight as someone physically and emotionally showing up when it counts? Okay, to really wrap our heads around what's going wrong here, we need a new way of looking at it. And that framework is a concept called digital empathy. It's actually the key to diagnosing this entire disconnect. And what's really fascinating is that this idea, it actually comes from telehealth and medicine. Fields where connecting through a screen can literally be a matter of life and death. And it turns out, the principles doctors use to build trust digitally are surprisingly relevant to all of our relationships. So here's what it is. Digital empathy isn't just, being nice over text. It's the actual ability to express genuine concern and caring through a screen. It's the critical difference between just sending words and truly connecting with the person on the other end. And what's so powerful about this is just how actionable it is. Real digital empathy means reflecting someone's feelings, not just firing off a quick reply. It's about offering real support, saying things like, "I'm here for you," and using language that actually shows compassion. That daily good morning text, it fails because it's a routine that often skips every single one of these steps. So why does that story about the disappearing texter resonate so deeply with so many of us? Well, it's because our brains are fundamentally wired for narrative. It's the story that makes the feelings so universal. This is a core truth about us. We don't connect over data points or spreadsheets. We connect over stories. A shared narrative is what transforms a random interaction into a meaningful relationship. In medicine, there's a whole field called narrative medicine, and it's based on this idea that a patient's story is just as important as their lab results. This shows exactly why that initial story is so powerful. Stories are how we build trust and create that shared experience that is the foundation of any real connection. Okay, so if connection is built on stories, how do we tell a good one? In a world where we're all constantly distracted, it really all comes down to the art of authenticity, being intentional with our words. This quote from creator Mark Rober might be about making videos, but it's a powerful lesson for all of our communication. In the digital world, attention is currency. Wasting someone's time with filler, with empty words, is the fastest way to lose them. Every text, every interaction should mean something. I mean, think about it. You have maybe 10 seconds to make an impact. And that's not just for videos. It's true for texts, for DMs, for conversations. You have to create meaning quickly, or that connection just gets lost. Just look at the difference here. The bad hook is pure filler. The good hook, it creates immediate intrigue. It respects your time. In our relationship story, the good morning text starts as a good hook, but when it's never followed by any real substance, it eventually just becomes a bad one. The technique behind a really great hook is called an open loop. It's basically an incomplete story that our brains crave to see finished. The disappearing texter is a perfect and really painful example of this. You keep responding. You keep waiting for the story to finally resolve. You're waiting for all that consistency to finally lead to something real. So let's bring all of this together now. We've got the illusion of connection, we've got the need for digital empathy,
And we've got the power of storytelling. It all boils down to one final crucial distinction.
And this is the core lesson of this entire explainer. Please listen to this. Someone giving you their daily, fleeting attention is not the same as someone giving you their genuine, supportive presence. They are not the same thing. This slide just lays out the difference perfectly. Attention is easy. It's a routine, it's a 5-second text. But presence? Oh, presence is hard. It means showing up when things are messy and inconvenient. It's the difference between being digitally available and being emotionally present. Which brings us right back to the beginning, full circle. The real loss wasn't him disappearing. It was the illusion shattering. And you know what? Recognizing that is the very first step toward finding connections that are built on true presence, not just cheap attention. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Take a second and look at the connections in your own life. Are they built on the hard work of presence or just the easy routine of attention? Are you holding on to a person or are you just holding on to the idea of them? The answer, well, it might just change everything.